I got involved in racing as a small child. My dad took me to MIS to watch Pat Patrick's race team in Indy cars. I didn't really know what was going on at the time. I was about 4 years old. Sat in the cars a little bit, went around the track. I always loved it. I just never really knew what was going on until my dad, a couple years later, got hired by Roger Penske. And I actually remember that day I was really extremely upset because I always liked the Patrick cars. I didn't know anything about the Penske cars. I actually cried. I think I was around 7 years old. And then after he was hired, I got to go more events and more tracks, meet more people, meet the drivers, and I actually fell in love. And I really fell in love with the Marlboro paint job, and that was like my favorite thing in racing. But I was always a fan. I never got into driving. I did a little bit of karting here and there, but nothing serious because I was always big into playing hockey. I never really thought that driving could be a career, but I always loved it. Until last summer in 2012, I found Skip Barber Racing School, and I told my dad that I wanted to go for fun and see what I could do. And so we went down to Road Atlanta. Had a good 3 days, and actually came home, and there was the MIS race was that next weekend, and some of the instructors that were at Skip Barber came back, and we went out to lunch with them, and they said that they think that I should pursue it as a career. They said, you have a serious talent for never really having any race experience before. You have a kind of a gift. So we applied for the IndyCar Academy in January. I was accepted. Went down to Sebring. Had a good 4 days there. Didn't do as well as I wanted to, but it was also a good learning experience. Had to be a little luck on my side, but didn't have it. And then this summer, I've been in the Skip Barber series and been moving up, doing well. Had a third place finish at my first race weekend, and then I'm looking to move up. But yeah, that's how I got involved in racing. Was just going to the track with my dad. A lot of people think that race car drivers aren't athletes, and racing is like it's more mental than physical, I'd say. But physical, and it's very physical as well. So what I do to train is I do a lot of CrossFit, but I also do probably more cardio than anything because of being in a race car for so long. It just takes such a toll on your body, especially the heat and the sweating and the exhaustion that comes about your body. And I mean, your arms probably get affected the most. So I work a lot on my shoulders and forearms and wrists. But when you get out of a race car, everything in your body hurts, even your legs and your feet, and especially your lower back from the car loading, unloading, and the mental toll and things that you just have to correct in uncontrollable situations. Because in a racing, everything's changing every second. The weather, the wind, your body, how you react, and the biggest thing is the mental factor, because you always have to be 100% focused. You can never let up. If you let up, you make a mistake, and it could result in some serious consequences. And a lot of people, like what I've heard before, and what I've told people is, it's kind of like, racing. You always have to be 100% focused. Because in golf, say you mess up, you make a mistake, you take a mulligan, and you hit another ball. But in racing, if you make a mistake, it could eventually cost you your life. So the mental side, how I train for the mental side is, you have to, every time you go for a run or you go for a bike ride or swim or whatever you do, even if you're just playing soccer in the yard, you push yourself to your limit, and you keep going, and you keep doing it, and you have to do it again and again, and you have to do it better than you did it before. So your mental side will keep growing, because in a race, everything changes, and you have to account for the unexpected. A lot of people ask me about the nervousness because of the speeds and other cars being so close to you, and especially for me, since I'm an open wheel, those wheels touch and you can have a serious accident. But while driving, I never get nervous, but I do get butterflies and nerves before I get in the car, or when I'm sitting in the car in the pits just waiting to go. I think if a driver said that they're never nervous, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's human. I mean, it's human nature to have a little nerves, because anything can happen out there, and every time you hop in the car, there's a chance that you might not come back. So yeah, I get nervous when I first strap in and I sit there and I think about things, and it's always in the back of your mind about something that could go wrong, and the ones that are out of your control are the most dangerous ones, and there's nothing you can do except hold on and hopefully you come out of it. But you know, it doesn't stop my love and my life and my passion of racing. Once you start rolling down the pit lane, it all goes away, and you do what you do. You have your task at hand. My biggest challenge I find in racing is probably most drivers will tell you, and most people involved in racing will tell you, is the business side of racing. Nowadays racing is so expensive, and it's so hard to find sponsorship and people to pay for you to go racing, and some people can do it by themselves, but that's a very, very few can do that. And so, you know, driving is always a challenge, because you can always get better and you can always push yourself to get better, as in anything in life. But my biggest challenge is finding sponsorship and finding people to trust in you and invest in you and to make the investment. And you know, they have to understand that it's a long-term relationship and it's not a one-time deal. And if someone just hand me a check tomorrow, then it's fun for that weekend or fun for that season, but then I'm at the same time I'm in the same boat I was before. So it's hard to try to get people to invest in you for a long term and build a relationship, and one day be in the 500, where right now there's not that many people that get to see, but in the 500 then you have the whole world watching. So that is the challenge, to get investors on board and people to come with you. And I've always heard that it's 95% business and 5% driving, but it's part of the fun in racing as well. Racing wouldn't be that much fun if it was so easy. So the challenge is probably my most fun part about it. My favorite driver today, I would say, is Nervousness. Just because, not primarily because he's like an enthusiast and he's a really good driver, but because of how he became a driver and how he got a shot with Penske Racing. He's been with Penske Racing for 15 years now, and my father was actually around when he got hired, and the reason he got hired was because of Greg Moore's fatal accident at California Speedway. And I was little at the time, but I vaguely remember little bits of it because my father was there and he was sitting next to Mr. and Mrs. Moore when it happened, and how devastated everyone was. But then, that's how Elio got his chance to drive for Roger, and he took the moment and he did it. So that's why he's my favorite driver. He's also a champion and just a good, humble guy to talk to and to watch on TV. He's a role model, but just because he got an opportunity that probably wouldn't have been there for an unfortunate one, but he didn't dwell on it. He took the opportunity, ran away with it, and now he has one of the best careers in all of racing. My ultimate goal in racing is to move up the Road to Indy ladder program and to become a professional IndyCar driver. Whether that's moving to Europe or staying here in the States, it still depends on which is the best route and which is the best route for sponsors as well, because they're going to be along the ride with you and what they'd like you to do. But I guess that's my ultimate goal. I guess my ultimate goal is to win the Indy 500, as that is the greatest race in the world. Obviously it's going to take a lot of effort, but everything takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication and a lot of power from people. So that's the goal, is to keep moving up and to keep pursuing the dream.